Welcome to PodApplaud, the Monday through Friday podcast that aims to enable your podcast habit. I'm your host, Seb, and today we are going to take a look at the podcast Works for Me. Works for Me is a podcast that tests out hacks and methods to increase workplace productivity or solve workplace problems. The show is put out by Bloomberg and hosted by Francesca Levy and Rebecca Greenfield. The show finished up its first season, which consists of 8 episodes earlier this year, and I'm not sure when they plan on releasing more. These episodes are about half an hour long, with little variance in length. Over the course of each episode, one of our hosts will undergo the task of picking a habit they want to change or a skill to develop. At the top of the episode, they propose a few different ways they could attempt to induce their desired change. They pick one and set off to try it out for a week or two. My first gripe with the show is that if you compare this to something like Gimlet's Reply All, that is a show that goes all out for each of its episodes. It really dives off the deep end. Whereas Bloomberg's Works for Me has a similar level of resources at their disposal, being a large broadcasting company, but feels more like the hosts are only dipping their toes into each experience. I feel like if Gimlet put out a show like this, the host would have been trying these techniques for months on end, as opposed to weeks, that they would have gathered up a bunch of people from around the office to participate. Anyway, after the host is done trying whatever they're trying, they come back to share their experience. So, what exactly are the hosts trying? Things like making a bullet journal, improving work meetings, becoming a morning person, finding a mentor, managing your email, or improving your mental focus. Despite my earlier critique, some of these items the hosts have actually found ways to tackle and improve their relationship with in just a week or two. Personally, I don't have a job in which many of these topics affect me, so I can't say any of the episodes have influenced me into trying to achieve changes along with the host. If I did have an office job, you wouldn't catch me dead using my free time thinking about ways to better serve my corporate masters. Our hosts talk about this point a bit as well, whether it is even a good thing that people are feeling pressure to pour more and more of themselves into their work. They end up conceding a relatively neutral and inoffensive position. That feels like a trend in this show. Its dominant trait is that it's not great at anything. The show is just simply inoffensive. The hosts are amicable enough, but you're not getting much personality in this podcast. The show doesn't have much entertainment value. Instead, it aims to win over its audience by being informational and interesting. But any information in the show is not extremely hard to come by. I kept putting off reviewing this show, hoping it would get better with each episode that was released. However, I have listened to all the episodes, and not only do I plan on avoiding in upcoming season 2, I wish I had the time I invested in the first season back. Here on PodApplaud, I rate shows on a 1 to 5 scale. 1 is silence, 2 is a slow clap, 3 is applause, 4 is a round of applause, and 5, of course, is a standing ovation. I'd give Works for Me a 2 out of 5. It's not terrible. If you absolutely want to improve in some of the topics featured on the show, listening to the host make a go at it might be the push you need. Otherwise, I think you could Google any of these issues and start working on them quickly enough. I'd not really recommend this podcast to anyone, But if you're interested, go ahead, take a look at the episode titles, see if any resonate, and give it a listen, I guess. That's been the show for today. I hope you found it valuable. If you wish to reach out to me, you can find me on Twitter at PodApplaud or send an email to podapplaud@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, and please tune in again.